Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Alan Smason. This is NOLA Theatre Talk, and it is a great pleasure to actually be able to talk about one of my favorite brands, as it were, in New Orleans. Always, every summer, we have Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane, and there they are. You can see the little logo for Summer Lyric. We are going to be broadcasting tonight to three different locations. And we have, not only do we have our artistic director from Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane, Michael McKelvey, coming up, but we have offered an opportunity for several other members of the current production, the cast of Songs for New World, written and composed by Jason Robert Brown. For those of you who haven't seen it or haven't gotten your tickets yet, it would be really a good thing for you to think about doing that, because it's one of the finest productions I've seen. We'll talk a little bit about that with Michael. But for those of you who are not familiar, we broadcast to three different stream locations. The first is the NOLA Theatre Facebook group, which has somewhere over 460 members now. And we just started that group in April of 2020. So, when you think about it, we're doing, pretty well, considering, the fact in 1 year we've had that much of a response. I'm hoping that we'll have more people want to become members. It is a group that is open to one and all, as long as there's a connection to the New Orleans theater community. It doesn't make sense for somebody, obviously, from Schenectady to join us. But the Theater Folk Facebook group is one place you can see the show. Second place to see it is on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, not the theatercriticism.com website. The Facebook page is a supportive page. It's a social media page. And then, of course, on YouTube, on my own channel there. So you can get a chance to see this tonight live stream to your location, wherever you may be. And then later on tonight, we'll certainly be broadcasting it back on my own wall. So those of you who are friends of me will already know what's going on and be able to see it again there. Those of you who would like to make a comment tonight, we ask that you please go on to StreamYard.com/Facebook. And again, that is HTTPS StreamYard.com/Facebook. And the reason why is that will allow your name to show up in the comments. Hopefully the comments are good. We've had a couple of comments that were a little on the strange side, but that's okay. Those of you who want to participate and contribute to this conversation, we really appreciate you. And those of you who don't, well, that's okay. We are also going to let you know that besides Michael, as I mentioned, we have some other people who are going to be on. We've got some other guests coming up on some upcoming shows. One in particular, I'm hoping to have him come back, is Jim O'Quinn. Those of you who know, he's a theater critic. He was the founding editor-in-chief of American Theater Magazine, and retired to New Orleans. He's had quite a number of health issues. We hope that he's improving. He's got a new book coming out, basically all about sort of what theater was doing during the McCarthy era, et cetera, and during the time of the Blacklist. So he's going to talk about that in an upcoming show when his health is returned, and we hope to be able to talk to him about that. But let's talk about Songs for a New World. Again, the show is playing at a new location for Summer Lyric. We're going to talk to Michael in just a second. But they've never had a show that I know of before at the what we used to call the Mint. But that's actually not really correct. It's now called the New Orleans Jazz Museum. So those of us who grew up with the Mint now know it is as the New Orleans Jazz Museum. So those of you out there who know Michael McKelvey, know how involved he is in theater, not only at Summer Lyric, but nationally. He's got a great reputation, and I will tell you quite honestly that he's a great force to be reckoned with in theater. I'm so glad that he's here. He's followed in some great footsteps, of course. Previous artistic directors at Summer Lyric who also had their own regimes, but Michael has made quite a name for himself. And without any further ado, I'm going to ask if everybody will, have just a little bit of I guess through the internet, we'll just have to do it ourselves, but a little bit of applause for the artistic director at Tulane Summer Lyric, none other than Mr. Michael McKelvey. Come on in the room, Michael. How are you?
Well, thanks, Alan. Appreciate it.
You know, I have to say that when you first came to town the first time, you sat me down and said, I'm here and we're going to do some really exciting things. And you almost, I mean, like a thoroughbred racehorse, you broke out of the gate and you just, started running and just have never really stopped, except for this little thing we call a pandemic. If it weren't for that, I think you would have been continuing, and who knows? Last year was sort of a bust, and I know how disappointing it was for you. I know, you had tried your best to get one show, maybe two. Can we maybe squeeze? And it all blew up every time, and it wasn't your fault. I want everybody to know you did your best. You did try. So tell me again. How is Summer Lyric doing? I mean, in terms of the number of people who are subscribers now. I mean, I assume that quite a number of people who have been your base of customers, patrons, etc., that a lot of them have been affected by COVID. Either they don't want to go out or they don't feel comfortable going out, etc. So how have you recovered from that?
Well, I don't know if we've recovered. It's a good question. We're still waiting to see. We didn't even know we'd be able to do any show until about late March, early April. And the original plan back then was to do Jesus Christ Superstar in the football stadium. And I think we were inventing things week by week. And finally, when the governor loosened things up a little bit, that's when our leadership at Tulane said, we think you can return to Dixon Hall. And we kind of gave our subscribers a break because we knew a lot of them were older. A lot of them were still nervous about coming out to large events and things. So we told them, if you didn't subscribe this season, it was okay. Those seats would be there for you next season. So we're still waiting to see. And then we decided to do this outdoor event. We've been wanting to do an offsite event for a couple of years. We have a new equity, diversity, and inclusion committee that meets, and we all talked that it would be great for Summer Lyric to put itself out in the community. So when the opportunity came up to do a show at the Jazz Museum or the Old Mint, we found a way to make it work. We knew financially it would be a strain on the company, but it was important for us to help foster a new audience, to expose Summer Lyric to a non-uptown crowd. So that's why we did it. And I think if you see the audiences who have been out so far, there's a lot of new faces. And that's what we want. We want younger crowds. We want a more diverse audience. We want to show everybody that Summer Lyric is for the whole city, not just for the uptown bubble, so to speak. So, subscriptions are down a little bit. But again, the subscription package for this summer starts with our second show, which is a grand night for singing, the Rodgers and Hammerstein review. So that won't even start they go into their first rehearsal tonight.
Right.
So we'll see how many subscribers are really coming back in the next 2 weeks.
And you have to admit, though, I mean, Songs for a New World, Jason Robert Brown, is a different audience than It's a Grand Night for Singing. It's hopefully the same audience to a certain extent, but if you're talking about the old Rodgers and Hammerstein tunes that are the favorites of people from South Pacific, etc., Sound of Music, that's going to be more or less what a lot of the people who have gone to Summer Lyric in the past have expected and have loved and have been the old staple. So that's going to be your bread and butter, so to speak.
Well, and that's why we program that show. Every season since I've gotten here, we've tried to do at least one show that Summer Lyric has never produced. And this year, Songs for New World is that show. But we wanted to do something contemporary that spoke to that had some themes that really speak to what's going on today. And thanks to Palenko Jones and his vision for the show, I think it really does speak to a lot of things that are very present in our current society.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, you're the artistic director. Palenko Jones is the director and the choreographer.
Yes.
You were going to be co-directing with Palenko for Jesus Christ Superstar, which will be the third offering. And Diane Lala will be the choreographer and director for It's a Great Night for Singing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I think I've got all the players down right.
Yeah, we tried to keep the artistic team fairly small this year so we could keep communication tight, because we knew it's more than just putting up shows for us this season.
Mm-hmm.
It really is about showing the new era of Summer Lyric and showing a company that reflects the city of New Orleans on stage, and that's something we really have not done a good job of in the past. And that's what we're trying to do this season. So we're trying to collaborate more. We're bringing more voices to the table.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a facilitation with the entire Summer Lyric or Jesus Christ Superstar cast. So we know that how they feel, and that everyone's voice is welcome in the room and everyone feels safe in that room. And we're hoping to do the same thing by showing that diversity on stage. We're hoping to send a message that we want that same diversity in our audience.
And again, that's where the rubber meets the road, because you have to get that response. So the marketing is going to be critical, I think, to the future of Summer Lyric. As to get that message out there that Summer Lyric is a place for you, even if you are not of the type of audience member that used to come on a regular basis. That things are going to change because they have to, and that's going to be reflective of theater at large. I guess I have to ask, a question with the diversity issue. It's not just a question of more inclusion of ethnic groups, but also I have to ask about gender and whether or not you're going to have gender fluid casting and things of that sort as well.
There will be some gender fluid casting in Jesus Christ Superstar. Okay.
So, because that's kind of where a lot of things are happening too. I mean, that's another aspect of what theater is undergoing. I was able to see on Broadway the Head Over Heels production that they did at the Hudson Theater, and Peppermint, who identifies, I guess, as a trans woman. That was the first time that a person who was openly trans was able to play a part on Broadway. And of course, several other people have come down the road since that time. I mean, a good example was Alex Newell, who is gender fluid and portrayed Asaka in Once on This Island.
Right.
Which I hope I get to see at Summer Lyric now. So that's one of the shows that you all probably will be doing, I guess.
It would be great to, Lip Feet just did it a few seasons ago, and we try not to do
and Palenko choreographed it, I think. Yeah.
It would be a show we would really love to produce in the future.
So let me ask people if they've got any comments or some questions. I'm accepting them. We've gotten one comment, which is so far just a little bit of an applause. So whoever that is, thank you. Again, if you want to go ahead and allow us to get permission from you at StreamYard.com/Facebook, it'll allow us to actually put your name up. So if that particular person was Linda Mintz, whoever that might be, we'd like to just let you all know that you can get your name up, but because it's a third party coming in to StreamYard through Facebook, you have to get permission for that to happen. So Michael, I always ask people to bring a drink into the room, and I know I got you into the room, and you probably didn't have a chance to get anything, but I'm going to tell you what I've got tonight, and maybe you'll be able to go grab a drink or something, like even if it's water. So you won't be the first person to disappoint me. But what I did do was tonight, because of Dixon Hall, you're gonna have to go with me then. Now keep your mind open, okay? Yeah. I made a Dirty Dick's downfall for Dixon Hall. Nice. Okay. I tried it. Now, what is the Dirty Dick's downfall? And any questions about that? It's similar to a Negroni. Okay. So it's 2 ounces of gin, a half ounce of Campari, and a half ounce of dry vermouth. Now, if it was sweet vermouth, it would be a Negroni, but this is dry vermouth. So it's not quite as sweet as a Negroni. I kind of like it. And you basically do not shake it. You stir it and strain it and put a little lemon zest in there, and there it is. So there you go. So for Dixon Hall, where most of the shows for Summer Lyric are going to be at least 2 out of 3 this year, tell me how it is that you got a chance to do you have a connection with the New Orleans Jazz Museum, don't you? You know, that's how that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just be upfront about all this. It's originally we were going to try to do a show at the Broad, at their new outdoor venue where Le Petit did a show during Christmas. And then when we were trying to book it with them, they were really busy with weddings and things like that, and their prices had really escalated. And I reached out to Palenko because I knew I wanted him to be part of the season. He had just taken a position with the New Orleans Jazz Museum as a consultant for their performance activities. So that's how that happened. And then we met with Greg there, and we made it work. I mean, it was a lot of work on everyone's parts. All the technical stuff you'll see, that was all bust down from Tulane. So those are my lighting package, my personal lighting package, which Michael Batt makes fun of. But all the sound equipment is Summer Lyrics and everything. And there again, Greg's making a huge investment at the Jazz Museum. They're buying sound equipment. They're buying lighting equipment.
So this may not be the first time you'll be doing. It may be the first, but it may not be the only time.
I hope to do more there. They're just preparing to be a very different kind of venue than they were previously. And I think this production is going to show people what is possible to do there. Yeah. And Greg, Caitlin, the whole crew down there, they've been wonderful. And I've enjoyed collaborating with them. But it was thanks to Palenko and his being part of their staff that made this possible.
And there you have a little bit of what it looks like. Now, again, they're not in their full costumes, right?
No,
now.
that was a tech rehearsal for us, or a spacing rehearsal.
But their costumes are fabulous. Now I don't have the sheet in front of me. I left it in the other one.
Is Michelle Hathaway is our costume coordinator, but Palenko, he selected the bulk of those pieces.
I mean, you can see some of the aspects of his choreography too. I mean, it's quite amazing. And again, I don't know that there's any one point in time where somebody's sort of standing still. You know, even when they're by themselves, like when Meredith is doing the Surabaya Santa piece. Yeah, you know, she's in the chair, right? The rocking chair. You know, she's moving around. I mean, it's just really really great. I mean, it's a big cast too. You've got Adair Watkins, who of course used to be one of the Big Easy Boys. People remember him. And there's your cast. I mean, and again, Shimon Rose, who was a graduate of NOCA. I remember seeing her, many years ago, and I said, that lady has a lot on the ball. She's going to become something. And sure enough, the last time I saw her prior to the show on Saturday night, which I caught, was right after the performance that she was taking part in, but she wasn't on that night of Once on This Island, which I mentioned earlier, at the Circle in the Square. And it was Halloween. She came in, I'm sure I must have her picture somewhere. I think she was dressed up as a cat with the little whiskers and stuff. And all the cast members who had just been on stage performing that afternoon on the matinee, so it must have been a Wednesday, came in and went to this little bar / sushi restaurant across the street on, I guess that would be 51st Street. Is that right? In any event, and we had a ball. We just had a blast. And, we ate some food and we drank some drinks and, just discussed the show. And she was just wonderful. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get to see, she wasn't on that particular show. She was only on a certain number of times during the month. Right. But again, a great performance. And to get her to come back to New Orleans, I thought was wonderful. And again, for those who don't know her, or I'm thinking that I may have a good picture. Let's see if that's her. You can barely see her though, unfortunately. But great performances by everybody. Meredith, and I think you've got Preston. Is that right?
Yeah, Preston. So Preston E. Mouton,
Yep.
who is a graduate of LSU's vocal program and is a native of Memphis.
And he told me he came down from Memphis to New Orleans, which, and he's also Actors Equity. So I think you've got everybody. Yeah. I think Meredith is an equity candidate. You got Jamone and Preston, who are both, and I think also Adair. Adair is as well, right?
Yeah, Equity actually let us do this production, not under their umbrella. They viewed this one more as a concert.
Right.
And because of us just trying to get actors back on stage this summer, they waived us having this production under their banner.
That's
the next
nice.
2 shows will be under the Equity banner.
Okay. Well,
because, the other something a lot of people might not know is Actors Equity has really strict COVID protocols, and for us even to get the shows cast was a lot.
Yeah.
And then to get the protocols in place so Actors Equity would sign off on them, which was a long, arduous process, it just would have been too much. So we just said, we have safety protocols in place with Tulane, and we would like to hire these actors, and we're doing more of a concert. Will you guys waive this one if we do the other 2? And they were fine with it.
So again, for anybody who doesn't know, Songs for a New World is a show without a book. It's a review show, essentially.
It's a song. A lot of people call it a song cycle.
Yeah, and it was done, from what I understand. The story is, and I don't know how truthful it is, but the story is that Jason Robert Brown was about 25 years old. He had been in New York working for about 5 years, and he had told a good number of. Go get your drink while I'm talking.
Well, I'm in my hotel room right now. I have no drinks. I have nothing to drink.
Go grab a glass of water or something, so I can toast with you.
Right now, so I just I've been drinking with friends. So
I understand. Well, even water would be helpful. Anyway, so the long and the short is that Jason Robert Brown hadn't really established himself. He might have been coming off of his first divorce, I guess. Or I guess his only divorce, but he might have been sort of down or whatever. And he had essentially been looking to get produced on Broadway, and he runs into a party at which apparently Daisy Prince is. Now, of course, Daisy Prince is Hal Prince's daughter, and he basically challenged Daisy. He says, why don't you do one of my shows? I've got lots of songs, etc., that I can deal with, and perhaps you can be part of our creative team, and I'll give you my songs, and you produce and maybe direct it or whatever you need to do, and let me have my say there. And that's essentially what happened. It became sort of a cult show. I would say that of all the songs in there, probably the most memorable, the one that's been performed by a lot of people in cabaret, is Stars in the Moon. Of course, a lot of people have done it. Karen Akers has done it, and I know Patti LuPone has done it. And I mean, just about any person who does cabaret who's worth their salt and is very good has done an opportunity they've had to do that song. But I will say that Meredith knocked it out of the ballpark. I mean, she was amazing. Yeah, she was.
No,
she was great.
It's the way I know the show. I mean, that story is great. I've known the show since its inception, and I've actually directed it 3 times. It's done by a lot of colleges. In fact, during COVID, it was one of the most produced shows by college musical theater programs, between that and Spring Awakening. So it's the songs are, everyone loves the songs. They're very singable. You have a lot of heart. There's very funny material as well. I like Jason Robert Brown as a lyricist as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I know you like him as a lyricist more than I think I do. I think, as you and I have expressed it, I like his song. Now, some people I know, I talked to a fellow critic earlier this last week, and he really cares for the music more, than he does the lyrics. And I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Well, and it's also like Jason Robert Brown himself is an extremely fine pianist.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
true.
writes his music the way he plays, so it's very percussive. It's very, it's just always adventurous.
And it's
hard music.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, but I will say, for those of you who have seen the movie, possibly with Jeremy Jordan and Anna Kendrick, or possibly saw the production over at Le Petit, and you had a hand in that, right? Didn't you direct
I directed that?
Yeah.
Well.
So, I mean, that's your second Jason Robert Brown vehicle that was produced in New Orleans that I know of, unless you got another one somewhere. I
mean, I've worked on. I've done 3 of his shows.
Right. So Parade is the next one, Michael. You're gonna have to do Parade next.
Well, I mean, but I actually showed that we talked about at Summer Lyric, and again, just how many shows can you program?
Yeah.
I actually like Bridges of Madison County. I love the score.
It's such a beautiful score, but until you get the opportunity to get a big orchestra back, I don't think it'll do justice to it. Like right now,
we wouldn't do it until we could do it. But again, because we do shows with large orchestras,
yeah, absolutely.
That's why we would want to do it, because we could do justice to that score.
And Jason Robert Brown not only got, if I'm not mistaken, the award for best score, but also for best orchestration that year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did. So that's fantastic. And again, I think part of that might be his wife that he remarried, his second wife, Georgia Stitt, who's a fantastic. I would say it. I've met the lady myself. I know her. She's a friend of mine on Facebook. We've chatted, etc. She's a phenomenal talent too, and I think that he did quite well to be with her, because I think she's had a very positive influence on him and his work as well. So hopefully, we'll get a chance to see more from him. It's interesting. One of my former customers at Smith's Records actually married into the Brown family, and she was originally a green and she became a brown. She changed colors basically, but she's married into the family, and that's a cousin. And I don't know if you know.
They're members of our steering committee.
Yeah, and so anytime I can talk about Jason Robert Brown in a meaningful way, I always think back to her and her husband Michael. They do a great job in terms of supporting theater and other things. Yeah. I will also say, by the way, going back a few minutes ago, we had a comment about this, and I think it was about my drink, but I'd like to think it was also you, Michael. But
no, I think it's your drink.
So we invited a slew of people, and I know you said you probably will have to leave early, which I understand. But we invited a slew of people, including Adair and including Preston, including both Shimon, who said that she's got a family commitment. I understood that, and also Preston to be here. Apprentice. Prentice. I'm sorry, Prentice. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, Prentice. I wanted to have any or all of those people in the show tonight, but unfortunately, I have not gotten any positive response from any of them yet.
Well, you got to understand, this is the first night off, truly night off, that they've had in weeks.
Well, I appreciate your being with me, because this was a night. We always do our show on Mondays and Fridays. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of competition now on Fridays. A lot of things going on, so Mondays have had to be the go-to days that I'd be able to do the show. And I really wanted it before the show went away next weekend. I really wanted to be able to promote what you've done and what you're doing. And so if we only have a short show tonight, it's not a problem. We will have done what we did to promote what the show is. And of course, we had an opportunity for other people to be out there and do what they needed to do. But if they are unable to be with us tonight for whatever reason, they're having a good time with their friends and family here in New Orleans, I completely understand that. And I appreciate that. I did, just so you'll know, I did invite Shimon to perhaps.
So I think we have a difference of opinion on how the name is pronounced.
Simone, is it?
Simone.
Simone. Okay. So
She
I always
spells it with an X, but
right.
it's Simone.
I always mess up on her name, but I did promise that I would have her on next Monday if she's available. And so because I'd love to talk about her. She did, I believe, national tour, and she's been up at Michigan, and
she was in the beautiful national tour.
Right. I think it'd be great to hear a perspective from somebody, one of our own, as it were.
Yeah.
Somebody who's come up and actually made a success on Broadway. And again, I'm sure she would say, well, I'm not really a success yet. I'm not a leading actress in that regard. I don't have, a leading role yet, but she's on her way there. And I mean, it's fantastic to see, good people from New Orleans getting their recognition. I mean, we've had a few people who have been successful. There was a fellow, one of the kids over at Newman who did, I think, Matilda a few years back, and we had David Bologna, who was a standard, and that was before you arrived on scene, I believe.
Yeah.
But he also was somebody to be reckoned with. But we've had a lot of people from New Orleans. I mean, Brian Batt is a great success story.
Right.
I mean, you always hear people talk about Brian, whether it's Forbidden Broadway or some of the other things that he's done, and the national people know about Brian. I mean, they name drop Brian Batt.
And Mad Men was a big reason.
Yes, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I mean, if I've done anything this season, the thing I'm proudest of is that I've given Palenka Jones Jr. a chance to direct, because as you're talking about local people making good, this young man is going to be the next one.
He's been in New York a lot.
Made strides in New York,
right?
And he's such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And everyone loves working with him, and he has such a huge heart and such tremendous vision that I'm just glad we gave him that opportunity. But I love him, and he's made as hard as last season was and not being able to produce, and as frustrating as that was, coming back was going to be hard, and Palenka's made it a real joy.
Yeah.
So
I remember he was in, I think it was Ain't Misbehaving over at the World War II Museum. I think he was in that, wasn't he? I think so. I think he might have been. Anyway, I mean, I remember seeing him perform, etc. But he came on the show when we talked about choreographers several months ago, and we didn't really get to open up a lot about what he was doing. But he's been making a name for himself in New York and doing some things here in New Orleans from time to time. But yes, he is going to be a name to be reckoned with. Let's talk real quick before you have to go, because I know I said I'd let you go early. But would you talk a little bit about the next two shows that are coming up? First off, it's a grand night for singing. How are we going to do that? Is that going to be socially distanced? Is that going to be regular seating? What's the story on that?
I'll say yes. Sorry. Depends on the day. As directives come down, we change our plans. So originally we were going to have 250 people in Dixon Hall. Now it looks like we'll be able to seat up to 400.
Okay.
So we know we won't have seating on the aisles because that's part of the mandate. We have to have 3 feet between the aisle and the audience. We know we will not seat people in the first couple of rows because we have to have 15 feet from where the performers are to the first row of people, audience members. But our goal is to have 400.
Could that increase? Could that increase, or the COVID restrictions?
Right now, the mandate says 50%. So 50% of Dixon Hall would be 475. But we also are trying to be aware of the spacing they want us to do.
Yeah.
And we think because of that takes our number to 400. That could all change.
Okay. And
again, that was a week ago.
Now, normally, you put a show on Wednesdays, your final dress rehearsal, Thursdays, opening night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon, and you're done.
Yep.
Not this year.
Well, Grand Night for Singing, that's the schedule they're going to go with.
Okay, so it's only one weekend.
They started rehearsals tonight.
Yeah.
And then on, I'm going to screw the date up. I think it's June 24th, maybe.
Okay.
That's their official opening night. They will do a preview on the 23rd that we will sell tickets to, like our invited dress. And they will play 4 performances. Originally, we were going to have 5 because we had such little seating capacity. But today we made the decision we're going with 4 performances.
Okay.
Jesus Christ Superstar, originally we were going to do 3 weekends of that show.
Right.
Today we made the decision because we have the expanded seating capability. We're only going to do 2 weekends.
Well, let me ask you a question, Michael.
Yeah.
As you have admitted, the amount of people able to see the show this last weekend and going to be able to see the show this coming weekend is going to be a lot less than you're being able to make money with. Why wouldn't you want to keep Jesus Christ Superstar to 3 weeks and try to make some money towards the end of the show?
Because that's why I'm a producer, Alan. And that's why you don't produce as much.
Yeah.
It's expensive to put big musicals on.
Okay.
So you got to remember, for every performance we put on, we got to make sure we have seating capacity that can cover the expenses for that.
Well, I mean, will you, the 2 weekends you think will be able to make money? I mean, in terms of, if it's, even at 400 seats?
Yeah, because normally during a 4-show weekend, our target is 2,900 to 3,000 patrons.
Okay.
So over 8 performances, 400 times 8 is 3,200. And then if they loosen up the capability and move us to 500, that means we have 4,000 potential seats.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because this is what I think a lot of people don't understand. You could keep running the show, but for every performance we do the show, every week, we're paying actors for that extra week. We're paying the band per performance. We're paying royalties on every performance, and we're paying crew. So it's economics too. But that's what a lot of people don't realize in producing. There's like, just keep doing the show. Since I've come in, we've made sure that every actor on that stage is paid. That wasn't the way it was with previous administrations. And we still try to do everything with as big an orchestra as we can. Superstar won't have that big an orchestra because we were just afraid of the social spacing stuff.
What about what about the you know, it's a rock opera, as they like to say.
Superstar has 3 different orchestrations. One is a 6-piece band, one's a 12-piece band, and one's a 35-piece orchestra.
So you'll be doing
We're doing the 6-piece because they're going to be on stage.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right. So are you going to have a guy playing guitar, the electric guitar, which opens it? I mean, that's going to be, so there will be electric aspects to it, right?
It's a rock band.
Hey, you know, speaking about rock bands and rock stars, look who's here. There she is. I cannot believe it. She's off from her first night.
You're supposed to be rehearsing.
I finished.
Okay.
There you are. I gotta tell you. You know, like a tag team, Diane. Michael wanted to leave. He's talking about Jesus Christ Superstar. Right now, he's talking about Grand Night for Singing Jesus Christ Superstar. But he wanted to get out because he was just visiting. He's got important things to do. But I wanted to see if maybe you do like a tag team and, you know, tag off and let him run off, and we can talk. We can talk about It's a Grand Night for Singing. Is that cool?
That's great.
Did you get a drink, yo? Did you get a drink?
You know what? I just got home, but my husband, Bob Pavlovich, has made me a fabulous martini. So I'm all ready for you, Alan.
So she's drinking for me.
All right. Well, you know what? You next time you're going to have to drink 2 drinks to make up for it. You're the first
Alan, I've
person.
been drinking for the past couple of hours, so
I'll give you an excuse, and you got to pass tonight, okay?
But I'll tell you, Alan. So this evening, I've had a Dogfish beer, I've had a Budweiser,
Okay,
and I had a shot of Jack Daniels. So I've done my due diligence for this event.
you know, for me that's like a Friday afternoon. So
Well, for me that was a Monday early evening in Pittsburgh. So
all right, enjoy this. There's some good. Yeah,
See you guys
Yingling.
later.
Yingling is the one you got to drink in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it's like drinking Budweiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Enjoy. Thank you.
We'll see you later.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye. So it's just the two of us now. Fantastic, Diane. I'm so glad you can make it. What a phenomenal show! And you know what? You're not really involved with this show like you will be with It's a Great Night for Singing. But how was it to be able to see live theater once again, and in a venue like the Mint, the old Mint, then now the Jazz Museum?
Yes, I have to tell you, I was so psyched to see that, and then to just be there, hearing people sing, watching their mouth move, listening to this music, and the weather that I had to see that show on Saturday night was like awesome, right? With the wind blowing, it was great. The performers were wonderful. I got so excited being part of a live theater experience. It was great.
And I agree. It was not only that, but the sheer joy of being able to be at any venue where theater is being performed, but being performed so well too. I mean, I played some pictures. I showed up some pictures of some of the performances there, but you can get a feeling for. I mean, and I know that at one point they had all these different people up on the third floor, even doing some songs, etc. And I mean, it was just a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, and these pictures are great, but to be there in the evening as it's starting to turn to night, and the lighting, and I mean, even if you look behind you across the street at the balcony that's lit up, you kind of feel like you're in this magical environment, which is what theater's supposed to be.
So speaking of magical environments, you just got out of doing your magical environment first night. How did it go?
Great. Oh my gosh. It was so wonderful to be. First of all, I have an amazing cast, and they're just beautiful. And Jefferson was teaching him the opening number before I left, and so great.
So this will be the first time you're being in Dixon Hall, right? You're going to be the person who's going to bring audiences back to Dixon Hall for the first time since the pandemic. So is Jefferson going to be music director? I assume so.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's going to be how many band members or how many orchestra members? Do we know?
Gosh, I want to. It's small. I want to say it's like 6 or 8.
Okay, so not a lot of strings, then I assume.
No, but there are strings.
Probably synthesizers.
There's a cello. There is a synthesizer. Yeah, I know there's a cello, bass, and anyway, the orchestra band is going to be upstage of us, and they're keeping the pit cover in so that we can come a little closer to the audience. We still can't go to the edge of the stage because of distance.
Right.
And but we are being really safe in rehearsal. Equity has their protocols for rehearsal, so if you are not actively singing or actively doing staging, you wear a mask. So unfortunately, I have to wear a mask all the time, but it's okay because I just got to sit there and listen and watch these 6 beautiful singers sing together for the first time.
I'm going to ask you about the cast members, if you can reveal that. Is it secret?
Sure.
Or?
No.
But yeah, go ahead. Who we have in the cast?
So we have Rachel Looney.
Okay, she's great. She's got a wonderful voice. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah. Katie Howe.
Great. Another, wonderful. Yeah.
Chase Kamada.
Oh my God. And Chase was, by the way, the first stage door idol.
Was she?
Yes, she back. It would be now, I think, 11 or 12 years. I hate to say it was that long ago, but yeah. But of course, from a grand family of cooking and singing. So
yes.
Leah Chase and Leah Chase the elder, grandmother and mother, respectively, or respectively mother and grandmother. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then who else?
We have Kevin Murphy.
Can't beat him for singing. Yeah.
And a young man who just graduated from NOLA, Eric Sean, who is performing right now in Songs for a New World.
Okay.
And then John Michael Haas.
Ah, he's back.
Yeah.
And of course, at one point he went to, was it Dallas or Houston?
He's in Texas. I want to say Austin.
Austin, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's Austin.
With his wife.
Yeah.
And he is going to be, this is the last show he does before he becomes a dad.
Oh, well, you know what? Speaking of dads, his dad was Peter Finney Jr., and his grandfather was the famous stateside sports editor, Peter
I did
Finney.
not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, keep it all in the family. It was just wonderful that, unfortunately, we've all had a year. And you at CCM, the Cincinnati Conservative of Music, I have to ask, how did you make it happen? I mean, you were doing everything, right? You were virtually everything, right?
Well, no, I was actually in person, but
were you?
Yes, I'd rather be in person. So what we did was I taped off 10 by 10 foot squares. So I teach various semesters I do different things, but most recently I was teaching 4 jazz classes. And so 2 of them I was able to have all in person. The other 2, which is like kind of the worst thing, is half in person, half on Zoom.
Okay.
So I have this big TV set over here. I have a mask on my face. I have a microphone. I'm trying to communicate and jump up and down and dance and not pass out. And it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But, the students, they did a great job. They were very adaptable. I mean, there were times when I got exposed from one of them early on in the fall, and then we all had to go virtual. My basement, which was a family room, which we don't really use that much, but it is now converted into it's got Marley on one side and a drape. I got the whole setup and my TV so I can see them better. But it was a lot. And the kids were the students were very happy to have that in person.
Yeah, no, I understand that. We understand we want to communicate with everybody. We want to be able to reach out, if you will, and touch somebody. But because of the pandemic, we couldn't touch anybody. And then on top of that, when you're trying to teach something as I would say as wide as theater is, doing little boxes like this just doesn't cut it. You can't see from here down. You can't see their movement. You can't, see their placement, et cetera. I mean, it's got to be extremely difficult for somebody of your stature to put up with, and
it was a lot. There were times I teach a Pilates class to our freshmen in the fall, and I had half on a Monday, half on a Wednesday, and finally I was like, I've had it. Meet me outside of the building at 9:00. Because our class started at 9:05, and I took them down to the football stadium, and we did Pilates in the end zone. So I've taken people outside when I can, just so that we can all be together and we can, anything to kind of break up the monotony, because, a lot of the other classes were all on Zoom, and it was hard. But then there was the opportunity too to have people from outside teach our students. We had Derek Davis, who's a Broadway star, teach our freshmen vocal coaching. We had Karen Olivo teach our sophomores and our juniors vocal coaching. I mean, so that's a great.
Wasn't she up in Wisconsin or something like that?
Yeah.
So
that's a great opportunity for them. So you got to try and look at the good parts of, if you can say that, about the pandemic, that, that it did bring some people closer to us, because normally, we wouldn't have had people teaching online like that.
What did you learn out of that whole experience? Was there anything that was a valuable lesson for you in terms of what to be prepared for, perhaps, or how to approach theater? I mean, what were the aspects of it that you'd say, you know what, thank goodness we had this experience, because now we know how to deal with this? Anything?
Well, I mean, I've taught Zoom classes, and so I've been able to reach more people. I usually teach in New York in August for a few days for a college audition prep program, and this time I was in my basement in Cincinnati, and so people were there from all over. So I guess that's good, but I have to say, Alan, I don't really ever want to have to do that again.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was on an SDC webinar, and the panel was 2 Broadway theater people and 2 choreographers who were more into media production. And when it was Kelly Devine and Jerry McIntyre, and when Dan Connectus asked them, so what did you learn? What did you want to keep from the pandemic? The media people had something good to say, and both of the Broadway people were like, nothing. I want to be back with my cast. I want to be able to touch them. I want to be able to communicate. I mean, one thing, people in theater and people in the arts are resilient. They want to keep doing, and they want to keep creating. So we just did what we had to do. Right. My preference, to never do it again.
Right. I understand that. This show is an outcome of that. I mean, I just felt like I needed to do something, because with the theater shuttered, there's no theater actually being done. There is no creative process. People who want to be able to be creative are stifled, and also that an outlet. One of the things that we ended up doing with, and your husband was so beautiful in terms of his participation with at least a couple of the productions that we did, and he was great in both of them. And I mean, it gave a creative outlet to several people who might not have had that opportunity. I'm trying to see if we had a bunch of comments. Somebody wanted to give you a little love. I'm not sure who it was, but if again, I told people earlier, and if they go ahead and they use the StreamYard.com/Facebook and they sign up there, it'll give them permission to put their names up. So some people have gotten used to it, but that's all right. Now you're gonna do. It's a great night for singing. 6 actors, and how many songs are in that? Is it about 15 or so, or
at least?
Yeah,
I think there's more.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of songs. It really does. The total runtime of it, not counting intermission, is probably about an hour and a half. So
you think you'll have an intermission? You think you'll have an intermission?
Yeah, okay. We will, because I have to say, it's a lot. It seems like it feels like a lot of material. Like, I think it would be really too long to sit through the whole thing in one shot.
Well, there's always, the opportunity for people being in the theater for the first time. Intermission also allows them to say, how have you been? What did you do? How have you, and all of that goes on, because that'll happen early on before the show, but it'll happen more, also with the intermission. So that's great too. And then of course, Superstar. We're already talking about Polanco's involved with this show. He and Michael are going to be involved. And now you're going to be involved as well, aren't you? You're going to do the choreography?
Yeah, I'm the choreographer.
So now, what are the challenges for doing Jesus Christ Superstar, which doesn't seem to have a lot of movement that I think of when I deal with it? And you probably say, "Oh, there's so much movement that you wouldn't believe it." But I always think about like Mary Magdalene and Jesus are basically looking in each other's eyes, and Judas is like pointing fingers, and the people who are the apostles are kind of like in a group together. So I don't remember them, but again, I know that there's probably Hosanna. They have a lot of movement in that one.
There's a lot. There's there's the apostles, and then there's actually an ensemble. You know, some people call them the tormentors, because they actually kind of show the inside of Judas's mind.
Okay.
And they have a lot to do.
Okay.
And yeah, I directed and choreographed the show up at school a few years ago, and I love it. And Polanco, being one of the directors who is a choreographer, you know, he also will see movement. And so I'd say, well, I see movement here. He's like, oh, so do I. So we actually had the three of us had a meeting last week, and it was really fun. So no, there's a lot of movement in Superstar.
You know, as a choreographer, you're going to see it more than I will. But, you know, again, I'm just looking forward to seeing a show on a stage and be able to, you know, see people actually sing and not be enclosed in a box. So it's real important that we get back to. And again, it's important for people who have not yet gotten their vaccinations, who are young and haven't had a chance to, you know, to make sure that you do that, because the worst thing that can happen, obviously, is for us to go back into another cycle of this thing. And you know, that would, you know, set everybody back on their tushes, so to speak.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. So everybody, please get vaccinated if you can. And if you can't, for whatever reasons, you know, just please, you know, exercise caution and try not to do anything to do any spreading of it around, because it's really important that we have the ability to gather together. I think that Michael Smith was one of those people who went to Facebook. Oh, and Paul Werner identified
Michael.
himself. We outed him too. There he is. So, you know, again, there are people out there who love theater, who are, you know, part of our community, who can't wait to see what you're going to do. Tulane Summer Lyric is, again, now going to have 1 week for It's a Grand Night for Singing, because Michael explained that. So it's going to be Wednesday, final dress, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll be done with It's a Grand Night for Singing, and they'll have 2 weekends for Jesus Christ Superstar. And I don't have the dates in front of me, but anybody who wants to know will be able to go to look it up online, Summer Lyric at Tulane, et cetera, and be able to deal with that. And then, Diane, when do you have to report back to school? August?
August, yeah. Bob and I are going to go back up to Cincinnati, and then I'm going to fly to New York and teach for a few days, and then go back to Cincinnati and get at it and get ready to cast a show and actually do a real show.
How many famous people have come out of CCM now? I mean, there's a whole slew of people, right, that are performing on Broadway or have performed on Broadway.
Yeah, a lot. You know, Betsy Wolfe, Christy Altamar, who was Anastasia, Karen Olivo.
And is she going to come back, by the way? Is she going to come back to Broadway anywhere, or do you know?
Not right now. She's not going to go back to Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
She was awesome in that.
Karen Olivo was great. I love Danny Burstein. Of course, he had a terrible year. You know, we all know. You know, Rebecca was just a devastating loss. Nick Cordero, another devastating loss. You know, I mean, geez, how much more of that can we take?
Yeah,
but you know, I mean, hopefully everybody's in good shape and healthy, and it's so important that we get back into the seats. You know, somebody asked me, what will it take you to get back into a theater? And I said, one thing, an open door. And that's always been my case. You know, if I can get in, I'm going to go. And if I can review shows, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of shows. It's been amazing how many shows have been done virtually, but there's nothing like being in a theater and seeing the experience and seeing it all for yourself and seeing an actual person. I mean, it's the difference between, you know, watching a TV, you know, and actually being in a theater and seeing something happen live. And it is a definite major difficulty for people to maybe appreciate offhand. But if you love theater, you know what I'm talking about. You know all about it. So best of luck to you. I know you have to run. Please give my best to Rob and tell him thank you for making the martini.
I will.
Oh, by the way, I told Michael what it was. This is a Dirty Dick's. I'm trying to remember the name of Dirty Dick's Downfall, and that was because of Dixon Hall. So a Dirty Dick's Downfall. So for Dixon, that's as close as I could get. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a wonderful night. I will see you at the theater, as I always do with everybody. I'll tell you that too. And again, if you stick around for just a second, I'm gonna say goodnight to everybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Again, thank you to Michael McKelvey, and again, thank you for all that Diane Lala does. And again, we appreciate the fantastic job Summer Lyric is doing. I hope that all of you will go out to see Songs for New World at the New Orleans Jazz Museum this coming weekend. It's going to be on Friday and Saturday, and you will not believe how fantastic a show that they're doing and putting on. And again, don't forget about It's a Great Night for Singing, which will be coming up later on, coming up at the end of the month, I believe. And then, of course, we have Jesus Christ Superstar for 2 weeks. So keep your eyes open, and your ears wide, ready to hear some good music. It'll all happen this summer at Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane. And for everybody who's been watching this, I want to thank you all. And again, I will see you all